Which celebrity would you not be surprised to discover as a serial killer? Jared Leto. Especially if you know anything about what he's like off camera and off stage. I immediately thought of him. Especially after reading about his cult that he claims is not a cult but a group of like-minded individuals paying lots of money for retreats with him dressed in Jesus robes on a secluded island. Tom Cruise definitely. I think about this a lot, ever since finding out Christian Bale based his American Psycho performance on him. Greater than he had been watching Tom Cruise on David Letterman, and he just had this very intense friendliness with nothing behind the eyes. I'm kind of suspicious of that O.J. Simpson guy. Armie Hammer. Can't have a post about celebrities being odd or weird, without the Big Five making an appearance. Cruise, Leto, LaBeouf, Hammer and Paltrow. As I've scrolled through here, only one I haven't seen is LaBeouf edit. I have now found LaBeouf. Chris Brown is a bitch. Can this just be in every thread ever? Dr. Phil. Imagine how creepy and nonchalant his confession tape would sound in that Dr. Phil speak. Now, I want you to sit down with me, right here and right now, and let me tell you about what I can do for you. Okay? I'm going to teach you about self-love, being true to yourself, and where I hid the bodies, okay? Does that sound good now, Steven? Can you do that with me? I say this with all the love and admiration in the world for this man, but Christopher Walken. I mean, if he and Robert Wagner invited you to go on a boat trip with them, you'd be suspicious, right? I definitely wouldn't trust Robert Wagner on a boat, that's for damn sure. Joel Osteen. Just something about him screams, I murder to fulfill some dark urge. Edit. Holy crap, a gold. Wow, thank you. It's the smile. I can totally picture Jeff Goldblum wearing a strange sweater, matter-of-factly rambling on about the practices behind how to properly dissect and consume a possum, letting out a single chuckle between sentences, all while shoveling dirt onto his 53rd victim, who is alive, gagged and bound with rainbow-colored ace bandages. Jeff Goldblum is one of those people where he could be 3/4 of the way through murdering me and I'd still just think it's a joke. Quentin Tarantino. I see him more as a pervert than a murderer. Like he installs cameras in all his actors' trailers or something. Shia LaBeouf. You're walking in the woods, there's no one around and your phone is dead out of the corner of your eye, you spot him. Shia LaBeouf. Gwyneth Paltrow. I feel like she'd be 100% convinced her actions were justified and that somehow she was saving babies. Charlie Sheen. You know he has killed at least 2 hookers. Kevin Spacey. Then when he kills someone while wearing a latex suit and when he gets busted he'd be like, looks like you caught me, I'll admit it, I have a latex fetish. I mean, Ellen has got to be high on this list, right? She gave me weird vibes even before all those stories. It's something about her gaze. What's unsettling about Ellen is her smile doesn't reach her eyes. Go look in the mirror and smile so that your eyes don't move. Go ahead, we'll wait. That's basically Ellen's smile and it freaks me out every time. Johnny Travolta. Yeah, I see him telling his wife he's going on a yoga retreat once a year, and in reality he flies to Prague, seduces a man, has sex with him, and then kills him. Does Zuckerberg count as a celebrity? Because definitely Zuckerberg. He's not a celebrity. He's an android. There's a difference. Not a serial killer in the traditional sense maybe. But Woody Allen has made at least 2 movies about men who murder their mistresses and get away with it. Notable because 1, he's a famously autobiographical filmmaker and 2, being a murderer would be only the 3rd most disgusting thing we've found out about ol' Woody. Steve Harvey. I asked 100 convicts where you hide a body. Show me under the jacuzzi. Kenneth Copeland. I've met the man in person. Kenneth Copeland is the only human I've ever met in person that made me feel in danger without ever saying or doing anything out of the ordinary. When I looked into his eyes, and he shook my hand, I had a legitimate feeling that my life was in danger. He acted warm and kind, shook hands with people, said nice things and sounded genuine when he said them. I had never heard of the man before. I was only like 10 or 11. But his eyes have something evil behind them. Those aren't the eyes of a gentle or kind man. He didn't do or say anything short of pleasant and warm, and I still had nightmares about him well into my teenage years. They eventually resurfaced when that video came out of that journalist asking him about his planes, and the look in his eyes struck my blood so cold I immediately had to go and check if she was still alive. I 100% believe he has killed innocent people and watched them die for pleasure. Fred Armisen, he's so freakin' funny, but when you watch him interviewed or hear stories about him, it's hard to see him as anything other than a charming sociopath. I wouldn't even blink if they found out he's a serial killer. Elizabeth Moss said that, he's so great at doing impersonations, but the greatest impersonation he does is that of a normal person, and called their marriage horrible, awful and traumatic. So it's probably safe to say that he's not a super great person and definitely fits the serial killer mold. Carrot Top. Seriously, there is something way off about that guy. No one does that much steroids and cocaine and stays stable. Pretty sure Jamie Hyneman is a serial sniper. I feel like Jamie killed for very good and justified reasons and never felt guilty about it for a single second. Just matter of face. Well, he had to die, so that was that. James Franco. Crispin Glover. I feel like serial killer isn't really weird enough for him. Logan Paul. I'd say Jake more likely. Is Jeffree Star technically a celebrity in this context? That guy has definitely murdered some people. The first time I saw Gwyneth Paltrow in an interview, I realized she's definitely one of the lizard people talk about. R. Kelly. For obvious reasons. Has Marilyn Manson been mentioned yet? According to most of his ex-girlfriends, the man is an absolute psychopath. I suspect he's heavily into the BDSM scene, and all but one of his ex-girlfriends, Dita Von Teese, were not into that scene or knew little to nothing about it. Some of his behaviors went above and beyond the lifestyle, but a good chunk of their complaints stem from being forced to participate in BDSM, i.e. the Velvet Wand claims, which being forced into anything you don't want to do sexually is fucked up. I also get the feeling he never even mentioned anything about safe words with them. Also, he has stated that the Manson part of his stage name is based on Charles Manson, so, yay. If you're doing BDSM to someone without their enthusiastic, informed consent, you're just torturing them. I think that it would be a disservice to everyone legitimately in the BDSM scene who's being safe, sane and consensual to try to say that he's got anything to do with that. Hashtag Jared Leto. Every single megachurch pastor, especially the TV famous ones, gives me the creeps. Ted Nugent. I've met Ted Nugent. He seems like the kind of guy that takes trips to Africa and pays warlords to let him run down children in a jeep. Dan Schneider. Scrolled to find this. Dude would totally kill for some feet pics. Amber Heard. Tony Robbins seems like he'd pull a Jonestown. Elon Musk. Kevin Spacey. Christian Bale. I had to scroll way too far to find Kevin Spacey. Dude is actually a killer. Remember when the guy accusing him of misconduct mysteriously committed suicide, and then Spacey released that weird YouTube video where he was bragging about getting away with it being something vague? Kris Jenner, Kardashian's mother. I feel like she would get people killed for doing anything wrong against the girls, or anyone who would sabotage their image. This makes sense. There was a book that came out a while ago that included details from Kris and Robert's divorce proceedings, and in it there was a psych eval stating that Kris was a clinical narcissist. Robert also stated that Kris used to beat both Kourtney and Kim when they were children because she was resentful that they wanted her to stay at home rather than go out partying. Kourtney alluded to this in the show, but Kim seems to never speak about it. I feel sorry for all of her kids because it's pretty obvious that she only cares about them if they bring in money. Kylie has stated on the show that before her brand took off, she was always scared of her mom because her mom didn't like her. It's such a sad situation because it's so obvious that they're all trapped in an abusive household, and despite being 20s to 40s, none of them can escape their mom's influence. Gary Busey. I see him more as a spree killer. Like he decides that aliens are invading and just starts killing everyone he can until he's stopped. James Corden. I've never seen someone try so hard to approximate a human persona. Armie Hammer. Along with recent allegations, it doesn't seem out of the realm of possibility. Joss Whedon. Dude's a creepy asshole. He looks more like he'd try to do it, and then come in his pants right when he sees his target, and then shrug and just go home. 100% James Franco. There are a handful of friends in Detroit who have said he's randomly come to their house parties, slept in their homes, and left without a trace. Bare minimum. He's a creeper. Casey Affleck. Tom Cruise, Scientologist. Need I say more? Rule number 8 of Scientology is do not murder, but somehow I don't think he would care. I would 100% believe he is a serial killer. Kanye West. And this is coming from someone who likes his music. If so, it's because people cleaned up after him. The people in my hospital with bipolar disorder who have assaulted people or killed weren't too good with the aftermath because they were usually manic at the time. Garth Brooks or Chris Gaines. Greater than Garth Brooks. The family deserves closure. Garth. Just tell us where the bodies are buried. Blippi. Ted Cruz. This thread is supposed to be about people who aren't already known serial killers. You can include the actual Zodiac killer. Jimmy Savile. Sean Penn. Steven Seagal. Dr. Phil. Jim Carrey. Alec Baldwin. Given how he shouted at his 7-year-old daughter and that whole airline thing, he's got a violent screw loose. No way. Alec Baldwin would be more likely a road rage killer than a serial one. I don't sense he has like this constant, sustained and submerged anger. He has bursts of it. When he gets pissed, he flips off the handle at the moment. He's not lying in wait, planning how he is going to do whatever to a person. I think serial killers have a constant hum of anger and hate, and they always know that they're going to kill someone soon. He comes off more like someone with a really bad temper that he has trouble controlling in the heat of the moment, not a cold-blooded murder-loving psycho. Armie Hammer. I can't be the only one who thinks Caitlyn Jenner ran into that person on purpose, right? The whole thing was super sketchy. Why would she run into someone on purpose though? Nicolas Cage. Don't ask me why. Wherefore doth thou thinkest thus? For some reason, the first name to pop into my mind was Tim Allen, so I'll say him. Tim was wild in the 80s, who knows? Woody Allen. More like serial child rapist. I don't care about celebrities at all, but these threads are like crack. Willem Dafoe. Love the guy and his work. He just looks like a reclusive lighthouse hermit that you wouldn't want to ask for lodging from under any circumstance, even if the next closest house was a 20-mile hike. Aw man. Willem Dafoe is such a chill, kind laid-back guy IRL, man. He is a character actor for his looks, but genuinely is just a regular dude. He's even a bit self-conscious about his looks, which is kinda endearingly sad. I'd trust that dude with my life. I'm surprised that Fred Armisen hasn't been mentioned on this post, that I've seen. Anyway, apologies if you mentioned him and I didn't see it. The talks of him being abusive in relationships, exes literally calling him a sociopath. By his own admission, he's said that he's not a great boyfriend or husband. How he can be passive-aggressive, how he gaslights women, cheats on them, generally uses people for his own ends. If it turns out he was just admitting this shit to seem honest and like he has nothing to hide, while really he murders people from time to time, it would be sad but definitely not surprising. I want to say Tom Cruise, but I also don't think he'd be able to get away with it for this long. He's too emotional. That's the front. He's too busy jumping on couches for you to look too closely. Definitely Joaquin Phoenix. I could see this long before Joker. The man is an animal rights activist. Kanye. That dude's full of himself. One bad comment and that person is never seen again. Jared Leto. Gwyneth Paltrow. She seems so knowing and intelligent, and then she sells alkaline water which she drinks every morning with lemon juice. If that isn't a self-absorbed fool just trying to steal money and causing damage, I don't know what is. For her absolutely oblivious disregard for humanity. Yeah, she wins. Jim Jordan. Christopher Walken, for sure. 669 Nay or whatever TF his name is. Nah, he'd go brag about the first one, post it on social media, and get caught. Betty White. Well, how do you think she stays alive? Fucking Jeffree Star definitely. Aubrey Plaza. No one would know even if she admitted it, because they would think that it's just one of her deadpan jokes. Without a doubt Shia LaBeouf, or however you spell his name. That kid's as crazy. Matt Gaetz. For sure. Elon Musk for sure. Surprised I had to scroll this far down for that. Him and Jeff Bezos probably kill people in some kind of competition. Jeff Bezos. Madonna. Cillian Murphy. Something about him just screams, I have torsos in the basement. It's the eyes. Will Smith. I think he fakes his happiness and someday he is going to crack. Jesse Eisenberg.
Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.